All the body parts today.
We're live.
Got my notes ready. Yeah. Chit chatting. Is this the last live?
It is.
I am. Closer, huh?
Mm-hmm. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I am Amanda, the owner of The Nautical Dog here in Williamsburg. And today I have a very exciting guest with us, Lauren. She is the owner and founder of Girls Gone Raw, one of our favorite treats and chews in the store. And if you haven't learned about them, you're going to learn all about them today and why your dog and cats too love the Girls Gone Raw products. If you are live with us, yes, sorry, Kim just commented that's not a ponytail. I told Kim earlier I had a ponytail. I took it out. It was not a good look after the gym. If you are live with us, yeah, Lauren's got one. Make sure you comment. Let us know that you're here. Use that hashtag that is scrolling across the bottom of your screen, which is hashtag the more you know. In case you guys haven't heard, there's a summit coming up. It is less than 2 weeks away now. Gosh, I cannot believe it. I've been planning this event for what seems like forever. It's been a year in the making. It's one of those things that we feel like we have all this time and like all this time to keep doing all these things. And guess what? Now we don't, because now it's next week, next weekend, which is crazy and wild. But if you comment with that hashtag, the more you know, we are going to be giving away one of these books. That's been kind of the theme for all of our lives here, which is the new Forever Dog Life by Dr. Karen Becker and Roddy Habib. They are going to be two of our guest speakers at the summit. And Lauren is one of our awesome and fantastic sponsors. There's going to be some goodies in the swag bags from there. And they're going to have a table. All of their things are going to be there for sale. And if you have questions, all the body parts. If you are there, make sure you stop by and say hello to Lauren. And now I've ran my mouth a lot. So Lauren, who are you? Tell us about yourself and what you do before we dive into all the things.
Yeah, I'm Lauren Bex. I run Girls Gone Raw Pet Health. We, started off with some of the PG stuff, some supplements and really just some stuff that I was using for my own pets. And it kind of took a nosedive upwards very quickly into body parts. And now I am apparently niched into all of the freaky furry stuff. So I'm the lady that dries body parts in her barn, is what I tell people.
There's something for everyone.
There's something for everyone, but it's really cool, actually. It caused like some introspection as I went on. I'm like, because everyone's like, how the heck did you get into this? And I was like, that's a long story. Because, the stuff that we do is definitely outside the comfort zone for a lot of people, but it's becoming a little bit more socially acceptable because of stores like yours getting it out there. And that's why I love wholesale so much, because I'm getting into these stores, specifically like Nautical Dog, that have employees with nutrition training that are able to have that one-on-one interaction versus like a Petco or something like that. They don't know diddly squat. So yeah, it's been a weird, long journey to get here, but I love my weird little body part shop that I have, because I have so many cool nutrition conversations every chance I can get.
Yeah. So for those of you who do not know, I know Lauren and know Girls Gone Raw, you hear body parts, and I think the assumption is like, oh, like bully sticks or oh, there's that cool bone bar at Nautical Dog and that's all the body parts. You guys, these are the body parts that are on like the other side of the bone bar that have
Yeah.
fur on them, or they might be whole. Like we've got whole quails, they've got the hips, they've got the feet. There's rabbit hide with fur. And so we get a lot of shock, a lot of like, oh, and you either get the my dog is absolutely going to love that product, I have to have it right now, or we get the, oh, I'm not touching that, that's weird. And then there's the, but why, like, can my dog actually eat that? That can't be healthy. And
Yeah.
I just want to point out, these, remember, your dog or cat in some situations too, because my cat's like the smaller items, especially like the rabbit feet, they would eat these things. Like this would be a normal part of their diet if they were not domesticated. So it's only weird because it's weird to us. And like, yeah, things with a head on it, it's a little out there. It's a little scary, but your dogs love it. And there's so many benefits to feeding these whole prey style things and things that are different with fur. And we're going to talk about all of that and why it's so good, and like why in the wild they would eat these things. There's benefits to them. They're not just eating them just to like eat it. Like
Well, that's what I was going to say. My favorite thing about it, honestly, is that nobody doesn't have questions. Most people are like, what the hell? And I'm like, yeah, thank you for asking, because I have a 45-minute spiel for everything that I have. And those are the parts that I love about it. I don't love just like sitting behind a computer, shipping out orders. I love talking to people because, as I tell people, my parents thank you for justifying my very expensive college degree. I have a background in pre-vet and biology, and I kind of was the outcast of my degree because I was very crunchy, if you know the term. I was wanting to research.
Is kind of crunchy, right?
Yeah. So like for my turmeric, oh my God, my senior research, we had to do a full research project and trial for our senior capstone. And I did it. It was my idea, and then ran through with using turmeric paste for horses with joint problems, and like instead of bute, which is like their ibuprofen, and we had super good results. It wasn't big enough to publish or anything like that, but they did offer me the opportunity to like keep going with it because the results were really good. And I was constantly being put down because I don't want to say I'm anti-vax. I'm anti-unnecessary vaccination. I'm very pro titer testing, and like they just laughed me off the stage for it. And honestly, it pushed me out of the vet field a little bit. Working in these clinics and just seeing so many Band-Aid fixes and so many just shallow diagnoses. And I'm like, but why are we not going any further than that? And then ironically, which is why this event coming up is so like life-changing to me, it was really Karen Becker. She was one of the first women in the field to be allowed and in charge. And then she teamed up with Rodney, and they just started taking social media by storm. So directly out of college, I ended up working for Champion Pet Foods, who at the time was independent and they were the good ones at the time. And it's really sad to me, actually, the turn that they took, because when I was there, we were so firmly dedicated to independent pet stores, and I toured the plant and it was gorgeous and yada, yada, yada. Leaving there, I was kind of like, what the heck do I do with my life now? And ended up finding Karen Becker. It was about the same time, I think, that like all of my dogs had cancer. It was like labs, just lumps and lumps and lumps, arthritis, chronic yeast infections. And we were like, okay, well, I just lost my free dog food. Let's do DIY raw. So then I started making turmeric paste because of Karen Becker and Rodney and our vets and everything like that. We started doing answers raw and really looking into fermented, looking into DIY. And it really just spiraled. And that is how Girls Gone Raw got started in its very primordial form. I kind of lost my train of thought on that, but I love the questions, because then it gets me back to my roots of how did I get here? And it really is, I hate to say distrust in the pet food industry, because I now, and especially working with a big kibble company, I know what they can get away with, and it's terrifying. Even the laws around some of the things surrounding what I do, I am more honest with things than I have to be. And that's a little sketchy. So I love when people ask those questions because I'm able to get into that deep dive. And they're like, I had no idea you could feed dried bones. I had no idea that you could get glucosamine from something other than a glucosamine tablet. And I think it's funny, Julie commented, what's my favorite PG body part? And I, when I go out to these events and expos and stuff, I scale my booth. So I have my jerkies and maybe pork hide rolls or something on one side over to like the quail and the gross body parts on the other side. And I'm like, okay, if this is too much, let's go to PG. But to answer that question, I love duck feet. I think it's something you could feed them every single day. They're great for the teeth. They're great for the joints. It's gentle enough for almost every single dog. My cats even will chew on it a little bit. And duck is a great protein.
Well, so I would just like to take a second to say how I found out about you, and it's kind of like a two-part thing. But last year sometime, Billy Hookman, who is one of the speakers for this year, he's a good friend of mine, he posted a picture of his dog's bowl. If you follow Billy, he's always posting pictures of his dog's bowl. And his dog's bowl had an egg in it, like a egg yolk, probably green juju greens, I can remember, and then a whole quail. And it was a whole freeze-dried quail. Because like I saw frozen half like split quails, but this one looked different because it was like more feathery than the others. And I was like, well, that's really cool. Wonder where he got that from. And then Kim from Natural Pet Essentials, she sold your stuff. And then so like it was like kind of in the back of my mind. But then when I announced the speakers for this year, fun fact, you were the first person to contact me. I hadn't put out anything about sponsors. I hadn't asked for any sponsors, and you contacted me and you were like, I want to be involved. And I was like, yes, love that.
I remember seeing your post and being like, oh my God, I have to be there. And it's still a little surreal. Like, you're amazing, but some of these names on the roster are like my Brangelina. You know, and even Billy Hoekman, he's a super normal, wonderful guy. Absolutely starstruck to me. Like he's, you know.
It's funny, like my friends and anyone who's watching this right now, I don't think people who are not in our industry do not quite understand the magnitude of the people that are speaking at this event. Like these are our celebrities. Like this is a big deal. And like we have people flying in and driving from all over the country to come to this, which is just wild. So, for those of you who got tickets to the event, good for you for getting tickets. You can't buy them anymore. They sold out real quick. I think the people who were waiting didn't quite understand that, like, hey, these are like big people. So fun fact, next year's event is going to be July 12th. We will be announcing the speakers for July 12th at the end of the summit this year. And it's going to be, if you want to come to next year's, it's also big starry people. So everyone put that on their calendar. So anyways, I know we've kind of rambled on about this, but let's get into like what you sell, what you're dehydrating and what you're making over there, and why. So, I mean, I think for starters,
to say I am like peasant in this event, and that's why I'm like, I think my imposter syndrome.
You're not a peasant.
I know, but in my head, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like some tired mom from Ohio drying body parts in her garage. But I've worked really hard to get here, working with Judy Morgan and all of them last year. That was mind blowing to me. That gave me a little bit of confidence to insert myself. So it's, small business is a weird thing. There's so many people that are like, oh my God, I follow you. You're like a celebrity of mine. I'm like, what? What? Cool. Like, because I'm just, for me, I'm just a weirdo trying to pay your bills. But it's so amazing to be a part of this industry. I tell people all the time, I'm like, it's a cutthroat industry, but to be within all of these passionate people, like we are now in the niche where all of these people are doing it because they're improving lives and because they want to make waves. That's cool. Yes. Like, to know that you can trust the ambitions, I suppose, of all these people, and what they're saying is not just to scam you but to actually make change in the world. And I think that that's so cool. And
Yeah,
that's
because
hard to find.
fun fact, and there's a lot of people who are watching who are also in the pet space as well, but you know, this is not an industry where you make a lot of money. um, Not at all. You have all these like shiny things on the
Honest.
outside and it looks like old and grand. And I always joke that like I could go work for someone else and make at least double, if not triple, what I currently make.
Yeah.
But we're changing lives. We're doing good, and it helps my animals, and I'm helping other people's animals. And there's something to be said when someone at least walks into my store and their dog has had. This is actually a true story. Recently, someone came in last year. Actually, it's been 2 years ago. Their vet gave their dog 6 weeks to live. It had some kind of chronic disease, and we switched its food, and the dog is still alive 2 years later.
Yeah.
So and it started with just goat milk. We were like, if you can't do anything, at least do raw goat milk,
Yeah.
and they started there. And I think we are in this space that, I is as big of a headache as owning a business is, and you own a business, and it's a headache to keep up with everything from day to day. Like, we are changing lives, and
I wouldn't trade
dogs
it for the world.
are living longer. And let's be serious, like, I love my pets as much as I love my kids and my family, and I want them to live forever. And
Yeah.
their lifespans are so much shorter than ours are. So why aren't we doing more to get them there? So I think everyone who's in this space who is, being advocates and doing all things, I can tell you guys, we're not in it for the money. Obviously, we need to make a living because we need to live, right? Like, I have bills to pay, but I'm not retiring anytime soon. So yeah. But anyways, let's talk about her.
I was gonna say so I got here, like I said, my dogs were sick. I then had two labs with I think they were maybe 5 and 7 or something in that gap at the time. Implemented turmeric paste, raw feeding, yada yada yada, and then all the gap nutrition on top of that. And that's kind of why I had to get away from DIY, because I was constantly like, I should be doing more. I should be adding this and this and this. There's so many puzzle pieces you can add. Just start somewhere and don't get overwhelmed. We ended up going to like all non-synthetic. I couldn't find any treats that I trusted. So my dedication as a brand is that I won't add in anything that doesn't need to be there. That makes my stuff less shelf stable. I can't make big batches. I can't really preserve things as long. They're not as cute. They're not as fun. But we're filling in holes that a lot of other treats can't give you. So, yeah, as she was talking about, we do the gross stuff. I like to also add in, some people are like, you sick person, you just did behead bunnies. That's like the biggest hate mail that I get, is people think I just like decapitate rabbits for fun. Ironically, I was a vegetarian for a really solid while, and not because I don't believe that we should eat animals, but because the meat industry to me is so disrespectful to those animals. Pigs have friends, cows have friends, they're smart, they're emotional. I'm not sure how much I think birds are emotional, but chickens are sweet, and they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. So I have a dedication with all these things that I use all of these parts. My dog is puking. Nice.
Just a normal pet parent day.
Normal. We use everything head to tail if possible, because there's so much nutrition in those parts that are trash to people, that are so gross. Tracheas is a really great one. It's a gross, slimy tube. When you dry it, though, it's a nice chew, and it's absolutely loaded with glucosamine and chondroitin for our dogs. So that's something that I basically go to processors on their butchering days, and I get them fresh off of the kill floor, essentially. And to me, using all of those parts that would go to waste is really a respectful way to honor the animal, and to make sure that it's all going to use as long as we can.
And I want to cut you off for 1 second, and I want to bring up something, because you said that people are like, oh, well, you do this to animals. If you think that this is not okay, go look at your food manufacturer for your pet's food, especially your big guys, like your big, Purinas, Pills, all of these guys. read the ingredients and read what's in it, and then do yourself a favor, go online, go to the AFCO website, because AFCO is what regulates our pet food industry, which is a joke, but go read it and then see what they allow in food. Talk about disrespectful and like inhumane treatment of animals. So it's the pot calling the kettle black, because if you're feeding any of those brands, I can promise you that they are using.
Look up what's in meat and bone meal.
Yeah, and it's
anything.
And then you got to go to, where are they sourcing it from? Like, what is that process? That's a whole rabbit hole, that, no pun intended, but that's a whole thing you probably won't even be able to find. Once again, know your manufacturers, know who's making things, know where they're sourcing their animals from. It's awful. So,
and
we
that's
get
where
I'm like, what are you feeding? And they're like, well, we're feeding Purina. And I'm like, well, go read that and then come report back. I don't need to tell you anything. You can look it up for yourself. It's all public information.
That's, unfortunately, the rabbit hole that I firmly parked myself in after working in the kibble industry, because it's sketchy. Not that they're all sketchy. And
They are not.
I honestly right now feed partial kibble because, inflation is real. And I have to feed a lot of animals. But it's knowing who is raising my quail, what's going on it, what's going in it, how is it killed, how is it raised, how is it treated afterwards. It's knowing, was the process as humane as possible. And the way that I've done it now, where I'm a little bit big enough, I can dictate how those animals are processed. I have rabbit farmers either raising or finding rabbits for me, processing humanely. We, had conversations on what's the best way to do it, what's the, most humane way to do it. So the killing is what it is. That's, you're not going to get past that. Meat is what it is. For me, it's everything else around that matters the most.
Right.
So our beef and pork all come from a processor who has a vet on staff. They're USDA, and they're working entirely with small local farms. With beef and pork, you can't really get away from processors like that. But I was able to walk through, have conversations. I like them. They're good people. It's a small business, family owned. And I know where these are coming from. They're not doing feedlot animals. They're doing local, the Wilsons down the road that have a herd of cattle. They send 2 or 3 in at a time. My rabbit is all coming Ohio, or I have one guy in Indiana that I use. And I'm able to track everything directly. I try to keep it in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana at the latest. And, I need to go out a little bit for things that I need in higher volume. Like my duck, I go to a processing facility, but they are the only certified humane duck processor in the country, which is really cool. Duck's really hard to find. And so to be close enough to one that is humane certified is important. I had pet ducks. I love them. Their names were Robin Big, and we snuggled. So that to me is, I'm like, I at least want to know that they were happy ducks. And we're able to get you that higher quality product at, in pretty good volume. Some stuff we're really, really limited, like the rabbit is really hard to find. Anybody else that really is doing a high volume of rabbit, a lot of times they have to import it. And I don't want to do that, because that's a lot of hands crossing. And I'm, like I said, Robin Big, they were my buddies. Big old Pekin ducks. So, like to keep it local, like to keep it small. Unfortunately, a lot of times that ends up in things going out of stock for a minute because breeding dropped. That's life. It happens. Farming is kind of weird. But we do our best to try to, I've gotten a couple sources of things that I can pull on as I need, but that is, I'd say, definitely the struggle of working with small farms is everything's not guaranteed. So, why do I do this gross stuff? I don't know if I mentioned this. I like to work in GAP nutrition. So I think it was actually Karen Becker and Rodney in Forever Dog Book that mentioned, like, if the only real food your pet is getting in their day is a couple of real food treats, you're doing better than nothing. So if we can at least get them some, like the pork and apple bites, even if you are not okay with the gross stuff, even my jerkies are the same exact meat that I buy for myself, fresh apples, air dried. We don't have any glycerin, we don't have any preservatives or anything like that. I like to get people on the rabbit sticks a lot because with this, it's just a little crunchy sausage, right? But we took an entire rabbit frame with the heart, lungs, liver, and kidney and just ground it into a sausage and then piped it out into these little things. So you're able to get whole prey nutrition without thinking about it. They don't smell, they're not greasy, they're just like a little crunchy sausage like anything else that you'd find at the store, but you get all of those organ meats that not everyone's okay with.
Also, like gross stuff too. I mean, some like sausages and pepperonis. Oh, read your those guys. Read them. I think pepperoni has like probiotic glycol in it.
Yeah. And like the titanium dioxide and everything now.
Yeah.
And then, like I like these quartered rabbit frames a lot. This is the one I'm waiting for my pretty labels. But basically, we took that same rabbit, like the rabbit frame that we're using for these rabbit sticks, and we quartered it. So you have like a pelvis section, a waist section with the kidneys, and then 2 rib pieces that have the heart, lungs, and liver in it. So this is really fun. I use these to add into meals. They're really, for the most part, like pretty substantial, and they're a lot of fun, and you get that really fresh nutrition. Rabbit is a really great protein option, especially for any pets with like mast cell cancers or any kind of inflammation. Cancer especially, like when my dog pretty much had terminal cancer and we were just kind of supporting her body, it was fish and rabbit. All anti-inflammatory foods. It's one of those cooling proteins, great for pets with, inflammation-driven diseases, inflammation somewhere else in the body. They're hot, they're itchy, allergies, things like that. So rabbit, unfortunately, is expensive. It just is what it is. But it's a great protein option, especially if you can find something local and get it fresh and get all those good enzymes and stuff. I also will never, ever tell anybody, for the most part, that dried is better than raw. If you can get raw whole prey rabbit grind, 100% buy that over my treats, because that's going to have so much more nutrition. When you add heat of any kind, it is what it is. But that's not accessible to a lot of people. And it's also a raw. I
love your transparency for that.
Yeah. And I think that that's important, but like not everyone can deal with a raw duck foot, but for some reason a dried duck foot is a little bit more approachable. So if we can get our foot in the door, it's a foot pun. If you get our foot in the door with some dried chews, then that's it. Rabbit rolls are a fun one, and like
my dogs and my cats like this.
Yeah, these are our top selling. I can't tell, the camera's like reversed. These are our top selling things, and this is a really pretty large roll. We literally just get the whole rabbit hides, like the same thing that people will make like blankets and hats or whatever they do with them. But we get the whole thing, kind of clean it up, trim them down, and roll them into these things. It's my employees' least favorite thing to make and the most ordered, so they have to. These are really fun though, because we get a lot of dogs that are like toy shredders and rabbit chasers. Those are like 2 of the most like, this dog needs stimulation red flags. And that's what I love these for, because some dogs, like my dog just chews it like a rawhide, and because it's so fibrous and furry, it lasts a pretty good long time. Some dogs will sit and shred it and tear it and hide it and throw it, and it's really covering that behavioral gap that we don't think about a lot. We're just worried about, obviously we don't want our dogs murdering bunnies in the backyard. No. Not only is it sad, it's unsafe. Parasites, they could get bitten, they could get all sorts of diseases, fleas from them, things like that. So love rabbit rolls for that. When I usually bring like my minis or something to farmers markets, and when I get people that are curious about it, I just let the dog smell it, and usually get like pupils blown. You have like Sweetheart, the mini Bernedoodle, and they're like, oh, I don't think she'll like that. She's really picky. And this dog goes absolutely feral.
She is a dog.
You have working breed dogs.
I've noticed for the people who always are coming in like looking for like interactive toys and things like that, a lot of your products kind of fit that bill as like the interactive and plus they can eat it. I would like to ask really quick, and I know you're probably still talking about products, but why fur? I mean, I think that's like the biggest question. Like, can a dog eat fur? Like,
Yeah. So yeah, and they're always like, dogs can eat that? Isn't there hairballs? So I like to go back to the biology on it. And again, with my background, I worked in wildlife medicine for a long time and will continue working in wildlife medicine as soon as I have any kind of real property. We're right on the road right now. I want to get my rehab license. And I worked in the zoos too. We're feeding whole prey. They're hanging whole goats out for the bears and tigers and stuff like that, and as much as possible, rubbing hides and stuff like that, because everything in the whole prey animal has a purpose. Okay. So when you're hiking or just even walking on a walking trail and you see the poop that just looks like a hairball, that is, your coyote, your fox, raccoon, whatever, ate something, ingested the hair, and it scrubs them out like a pipe cleaner. So that's like the first benefit of it, especially our dogs that are kibble or processed food fed. You get a lot of debris in there and there's not a lot of natural fiber. That's really cleaning them out. So I like the fur for that because I also was disturbed to find out that the standard routine of groomers now is to clean anal glands. Like it's so rampant. I know growing up, my dog had anal gland issues and we had to have them squeezed every now and then. My mom learned how to do it. But the more that you go in there and do that manually, the more you're risking rupture. They stop expressing themselves manually. Cancers, anything that you're inflaming constantly. That's something that should be coming out normally, but our dogs aren't getting enough of that fiber and bulk in their food. And they're like, well, feed pumpkin, feed pumpkin. Is your dog eating pumpkin in the wild? Sure, pumpkin's great. Psyllium husk is great. So is fur. That's its job. So when we're taking just the meat of the animal, you're taking out a lot of those nutrition. So my favorite things about fur, the fiber aspect of it. So yeah, you have the fact that it's going to bulk up stool, clean out anal glands. I like to do fur for my dogs at least once a week. For that purpose, scrubs them out. We're starting fresh in the belly. Parasites. No matter how gross it is to think about, our dogs eat weird things. They probably have some kind of parasites. So do you. I also don't like to think about that. It scrubs them out like a pipe cleaner. So, I mean, if we didn't have this super acidic digestive system, this super short digestive system, it is possible that all that fur would get kind of clogged up in there. We have so many hundreds of feet of intestines or whatever it is. It's not really feasible for us. Our digestive systems aren't as acidic. So no, we don't eat fur. We eat a little bit more soluble things. A little bit of a rant on that. Lost my train of thought, but
your dog does eat
dogs and cats. Yeah, dogs and cats have very acidic digestive systems, very short digestive systems. They are meant to go in, immediately digest, and immediately pop it back out. And that was one of my favorite things I learned in like a comparative anatomy class coming in. We compare the digestive system of a herbivore, which is like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet long, omnivore, which is somewhere in the middle. And those carnivores are always very short and very acidic for that purpose. So a lot of times parasites and E. coli and all of that, they don't even have a chance to manifest because they're in and out so fast. And that's not really something you see unless a dog is weak. So I always tell people, if your dog has a sensitive stomach, if we have pre-existing gut conditions, maybe don't feed a rabbit roll. Any healthy dog is able to pass fur and pass bacteria and pass bone, no problem. Second of all, and it was actually Karen Becker that brought this up, ACLs and CCLs are blowing in dogs left and right. Healthy
all the time.
Yeah, healthy tendons and ligaments don't just blow, right? These are dogs just doing normal stuff, running in the backyard. You can't tell a dog not to run. It's in their nature. So it's not like they're out there playing, 3 hours of football and getting beat up by 300-pound dudes. That kind of makes sense. but it doesn't make sense for a normal dog playing fetch in the backyard to blow both their knees. And also, yeah, it's pretty common knowledge now that like once one goes, the other one's probably going to follow. We're finding in these dogs chronic and serious manganese deficiency. So manganese is not an essential nutrient according to AFCO. It's not really in most pet foods, I don't think, that I know of. So that's one of those like gap nutrients that I like to tell people to cover. So you have like green lip mussels, seafood has manganese in it. Another one, though, is fur and feathers. It's one of the best natural sources of it. So they're not going to digest most of this, right? Most of it's going to go through them. You're going to get weird furry poops, but a lot of this is still they're going to pull out some nutrients from it. And manganese is one of those key things that they're getting. So I always tell people, I'm like, if you have dogs that have a history of that, they blew one and you're trying to avoid surgery on the other, overload them with manganese. Maybe find a chew treat and then also add in some fur and feathers, and then, also do green lip mussels. It's one of those you can't overdo.
No. It's great.
Yeah. And it's just everywhere now. I mean, like, yeah, we have a lot of overweight dogs. That's not helping, but still a healthy tendon doesn't blow. A healthy ligament doesn't blow. So, and then lastly, my favorite thing about fur is the enrichment aspect of it. And especially, like I said, those dogs that like to rip and shred and tear. You do beagles, right? Like the lab beagles?
I have everything, but yes, I do have beagles, and I have a beagle who loves what's in your hand right now.
Yeah.
And she is very old. She's very picky because she's probably, I don't know, Miss Bunny's probably like 15, maybe a little bit younger. I'm not really sure how old. And she's very picky, but girlfriend loves her a whole quail. And being at her age, she's obviously slower. Her joints hurt. She's, got stuff. So I'm more than happy to give her pretty much whatever she wants. But, when she wants to eat something like that or a rabbit roll, and she likes
like this, I'll give one of these as a meal.
Yeah.
That's it. Maybe like a bowl of bone broth, because the only thing we're really taking out of this is enzymes and water. Keep going off screen.
I always also with Miss Bunny, we always say Miss Bunny likes the bunnies. So
yeah, and
she barks in my yard every morning where bunnies have been. So
yeah, well, and so that's where I was going with that. I used to foster beagles. I don't know why. I like the idea of them, like short term. If I could find a nice one. Some of them are really nice. Most of them were menaces.
I love Miss Bunny. She's an angel.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like obsessed with them. I think they might be the cutest dogs on the whole planet, but their personalities, like 80% of the times,
they can be a little neurotic.
They can be a little crazy. And also I was dealing with fosters, so mixes, whatever. Yeah. They're loud, right? And they need to be busy. Yeah. So my favorite thing was to take like a rabbit foot, a quail, some rabbit twists or something, roll it up in a towel, tie the towel in a knot, and just throw it in our little fenced dog yard, or hide it. A lot of people take the quail for like these hunting breeds that they don't actively hunt with. A lot of people skip the quail because they don't want the dog to learn to eat the bird, which makes sense for working dogs. But especially hunting breeds, bird dogs, things like that, they'll take these and just hide it in the yard and let the dog loose. And I love that. You're turning a meal into a game. That is so stimulating. They love the chase. They love the hunt. And we're so focused on trying to stop our dogs from their natural behaviors because a lot of times they are destructive, right? Shredding, chasing, hunting bunnies, climbing fences to get to birds. We're so focused on trying to get them to not do that we forget that you can do those things in a controlled way. Because if that's what they're wanting to do, that means that's oxytocin inducing, that's making them happy and stimulated. And giving them just a bone to chew on is not the same as a hunt and chase. No. It's not the same as us shredding and tearing, because that's what those front teeth are meant for. They're gripping and ripping and cutting. So it's a little bit violent for some people watching them eat the quail, but instinctively, I mean, you could have, like I said, like Sweetheart the Shishi Poo, and their first thing is they take the head off. They rip the wings off. They're like ripping feathers out, and then they'll hold it down with their paw. They know what to do immediately. And I think that we need to we need to understand that that is that instinct. That's that wolf left in our dog. Just because it looks like a sweet little baby in its little bows, I also have like an 8-tooth sweetheart wonder, and she is ferocious. I mean, she's
I
absolutely.
have I think she's a Shih Tzu. I don't know. She's like a hospice dog
Mm,
that I've had for 2 years, and she's like perfectly healthy, other than she's like blind and really, really old. And she's I don't think she's 5 pounds. Like, if
yeah,
anyone follows the store page, she's like my daughter's like personal little baby doll, and she's like anciently old. She's the sweetest little thing. She can't see anything. That dog loves a raw chicken neck.
oh yeah.
To see, and I think she's got like maybe 5 teeth. I don't even know if she has 5 teeth, to be totally honest. And to see her eat it, and it's just hilarious
Yeah.
because, but like she loves it, and like it's good for her. And I'm like, and I'm happy to see, like, I could give her a bully stick or something, and she's not going to chew it. One, she can't chew it. She doesn't have teeth for it. She's not into it. But you give her that like weird thing that has like a, good smell to it. They absolutely love it. And if you follow the store's TikTok, I did a video. It's been a couple months ago of her with one of those David Attenborough like nature guys. With she's the most ferocious animal in the world. Anyways, go watch it. It's funny. This
That's how I feel about
dog
Sunshine too.
chicken neck,
She's
and
like
it takes
this
her a
big.
while. Yeah, yeah,
I give Sunshine too my raw knuckle bones. Absolutely favorite chew out there, man, because they are just meaty and tendinous, and they're like ripping and tearing, and these bones are like this big, and
yeah.
she's like this big, and it's so funny. She's like growling at it, dragging it around the yard. You'll find her like snarling under the car with it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
get it, girl, you
Yeah.
freaking animal.
Well, I mean,
And
that's one of the biggest things to take away from this whole thing is that these are things that they are meant to eat.
yeah,
If they were in the water, obviously it's like not dried like you're making them, but like they are meant to eat these things.
yeah,
However, we're so used to giving our pets things that they're not meant to eat.
feral foods.
Kibble, like that's something that we made to like be convenient for us, not because it's good for them. So just remember that, like, yes, it might be weird for you, but it's not weird for them. And like you said,
Yeah,
we're so busy trying to like make them stop doing the things that, wait a minute, they were meant to do. Like, they are animals that we've domesticated for like to have around as a companion, and gosh, they are the best companions that anyone could have. Let them enjoy something that they do. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like the rabbit heads gross me out. I don't like them. I
this
don't like, they
thing.
don't make me like happy to look at. I love bunnies. They don't make me happy. And then I just have to remember, you know what? Miss Bunny this morning was literally looking for a bunny in my yard, and is barking, and she couldn't catch a bunny on her best day ever. But like that would make her happy. And as short as their lives are, like I want to make my pets happy,
Yeah,
and give them something to do, but that not only makes them happy and something gives them something to do, it's good for them. Like you said, the manganese, all the
yeah.
joint stuff, the fiber, all of that. So
Well, it's like we're okay with cats catching mice. Cats and dogs are just as domesticated. Given you maybe couldn't put a chihuahua outside and just let it
right,
free roam and it would be okay. But digestive tract wise, as how they've changed over time, nothing.
it's the exact same.
Maybe developed some more like some enzymes, but it's the same thing. Like if you start consuming a lot of lactose, whatever, your body is also going to compensate. It's going to figure out how to deal with that. So
Right.
there's the argument that no, they have changed. They've evolved to deal with kibble. They have like, the enzymes for starch now. I'm like, that doesn't mean that they should. That's a defense mechanism because they're being nutritionally starved in other ways. Kibble was made, like all of those nutrients that balance out kibble were based off of the nutrient balance of a whole prey animal. I think they used a mouse, and especially for like wet food, the water amounts. And I know like cats aren't as popular, but we are killing cats with modern nutrition.
Awful.
Kibble is so horrible for them. They have no requirement for carbs. And even just to get people into stores like yours, where you can have the conversation about a wet food or adding bone broth and things like that, not everyone can do raw. Not every cat wants raw. That's
Let's
okay.
say cats are so unbelievably picky. You
And that's a
know,
survival instinct. That's biological for them because they know that if they've been eating this and they're not dead yet, that that's a safe food. They don't know that this new food is a safe food. So it takes a lot of tricking
cats
them
are,
up.
if you want a cat to go on raw that's never ate raw, good luck. It can be done. It just has, it's a patience, thing. And Jay and
It's
Adrian from Two Crazy Cat Ladies, if you're listening and you've got a cat that you want to eat better and you're having a hard time, go follow them because they have great tips for it. Again, patience is a virtue here though. Like you need patience. Anytime I've adopted a new cat, it's taken me 3-4 weeks to get them to eat raw food. And like, if you live in this house, this is what you're gonna eat.
If they, yeah,
people just like try it once and they're like, oh, my cat doesn't like it, they won't eat it. And I'm like, no, like you didn't really get enough time. Like, and cats, dry food to cats is like crack. Like it is junk food to, but cats should not have kidney disease as young as they're getting it. And so that is
issues,
for depriving them of all of the moisture. And like, but my cats like dry food. Well, I also like fast food and it's not good for me to eat every day. So I know we're going off a little bit here on a tangent.
Yeah, and I don't think we are even because that's really it. It's the whole premise of my entire company is just feed the biological animal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this is gross. You say like, oh, we don't need that. No, I don't need it. But otherwise, it's going to waste. First of all, and there's a lot of nutrition in the brain, the glands, the ears, all of the eyes are really gross one that are packed with nutrition. Am I going to be selling dried eyeballs anytime soon? No, that's disgusting. I draw the line at genitals and.
So, okay. I'm so glad that you brought that up. And I'm just going to say it out there for everyone who's watching this. There are so many people who will not buy the things with the fur on them because it is gross, right? They're like, oh my God, I would never feed that. But bully sticks are our number one selling shoe. Fun fact, guys. Does anyone want to comment? I would like to see if whoever knows this question. Does anyone know what a bully stick is? Come on. I want to hear it. Someone comment. I'm going to type away. I'm going to tell you in a few seconds.
Yeah, it's one of those that I have people, they're like, oh, yeah, I don't know if my dog will like these. Like, do you sell bully sticks? I'm like, I do not get paid enough.
Right, since no one has commented, for everyone who thinks that Girls Gone Raw stuff is gross, no, Megan, a bully stick is not an intestine. A bully stick is a cow penis.
Yeah.
So number one shoe that people look for all the time, but people are like, oh, it's penis. So
I used to work in a store like yours, and we sold the bully sticks that are like 36 inches long.
Yeah.
And there's kids like sword fighting with them, and I'm like, they're like, what is this? I'm like, let's go talk to your dad.
Yeah,
I'm not answering that. But I always tell people I'm a little bit crass. Obviously, my company name. I have yet to hear Judy Morgan say my company name, and I'm pretty sure
because you sell so much of your stuff.
Oh yeah, they've done videos about it. They say everything about it except my company name, and it could just be a coincidence. I could be making that, but I think it's funny.
And for those of you who do not know, Dr. Judy Morgan, like one of the most well-renowned in the world holistic veterinarian, she was at our summit last year, is a big fan of Girls Gone Raw. So
she carries my rabbit hide rolls, these Franken bunnies. I was going to say these also are a great option for people that are like, they want to get into it, but the idea of picking out body parts is hard. This is a whole prey variety pack. We picked it out for you. So this has, we have a duck and a rabbit version of this. Has 2 meaty legs, 2 feet, a head, a tail, and an ounce of that whole prey rabbit sausage. So you're getting essentially like half a rabbit minus the 2 feet. And I love these because you don't have to pick it out. I have a lot of people that'll just like reach in with tongs and like grab something and give it to their dog. I have people that do gloves, but they love it. I have vegans that feed this stuff and they're like, yeah, but I'm feeding the animal in front of me. I chose to have a pet carnivore.
And and for those of you, I'm a pescatarian. I don't eat much meat at all. I just fish. And it's because I like care and everything, but like I also have animals that are carnivores, and I acknowledge that they need these things to survive. And I also care where things are sourced from, and that should, be something. And I have lots of friends who are vegans, and I respect everyone and what they choose to do. But I do, I will get on my high horse and say, I do think your cats and your dogs need to eat meat. So,
Yeah.
And there's been plenty of studies from very well vets, even the, vets that are funded by the big guys even say that they need to eat meat.
Well, and with the vegan diets, it's a great option if you've tried everything. I'm glad that there is balanced options out there. But I think it's like the living example of like you can't out supplement a bad diet just because it's balanced with synthetic nutrients. They've proven that those synthetic nutrients don't process the way that real nutrients should. So feeding raw meat versus feeding synthetic taurine, not going to do the same.
Well, and I had Amy Renz from Goodness Gracious was on here last week, and what we were talking about is the synthetics and how your body. So let's use, I don't know, I'll say taurine or let's use copper. Copper is a good one because of copper storage disease. If your pet is eating liver, okay, because it's in its natural form, so you're getting the copper in its natural form, okay, your dog can eat as much of that copper inside that liver, and their body will get rid of it because it'll get rid of what it's not used, but it doesn't recognize the synthetic version of it. So the synthetic version builds up, and then you have copper storage disease. So this is why synthetics are a problem.
Yeah.
And you can't get them in many cases, but like at least you should be aware of it and know your minimums and your maximums and all that good stuff.
Well, and that's why it's so hard. There's so many cool foods out there that I want to try that are probably more price effective than I feed Steve's Real Food, which I know people have their own bone to pick with it, but it is, all of my animals have done amazing on it. Their cat food, their Quest line, I like that they have freeze dried and all those different proteins, makes it great for transitioning, makes it great for travel. They just have great options. I will not do anything that has synthetics. So even like we feed raw, I have friends that work for that company. I keep wanting to try it and I can't convince myself to do it. Just can't. Because I'm like, I've picked my hill and I gotta die on it. But I have breeders that buy duck heads from me because you can feed a bunch of DHA. The brain is one of the best sources of DHA. So they're adding it synthetically back into milk and everything for kids. Right. I say I'm not going to feed my kid brains, but to feed it to puppies to help those growing brains is great. To moms who are growing the puppies and nourishing the puppies is great like that. So I always tell people, if you can find a natural source of it, great.
Right.
Don't do Fortiflora, do a goat milk kefir. If that doesn't work for you, go with the Adored Beast, like naturally cultured ones.
Whole foods are always going to be the best that you can get. Does anyone have any questions that's watching right now? If you do, we'll try to answer them, but we are going to raffle off a book here in a minute. So if you haven't commented with that hashtag yet, please do so. I think most of you have. But all right, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any questions we didn't catch. I think Kim said she has a store, and that for people who come in who say they don't want to feed the rabbit because it's going to make them chase the rabbits. They're already going to chase the rabbits. If they're going to chase the rabbits, feeding the rabbit isn't going to make them chase it. So I don't.
I'm like, your dog is smart. Your dog is not smart enough to connect that. And if they're chasing rabbits, they're going to chase rabbits anyway. It just is. I always tell people, I'm like, you can't get rid of that instinct. Give it in a controlled manner.
Yeah.
At least mine doesn't have tapeworms and it's not going to bite back.
Megan, you wanted to know if I have duck heads in the store. I do. I've got frozen raw duck heads and freeze dried duck heads. All the duck heads.
Heck yeah.
And I've got for the quails, we've got Girls Gone Raw. We've got their whole quails, and then we also have frozen raw split quails. We have a lot of
for cats. Just for people. I have collectively like 14 cats in my family. The dehydrated options are not always great for cats because like the bones and stuff like that, they get really hard. Like my cats can't eat a dehydrated chicken neck.
It's very hard for them to.
Yeah, so freeze-dried chicken necks. I do freeze-dried quail chicks that my cats really love. And freeze-dried anything like that. It makes it a little bit spongier. So just know that that is a great option for cats.
And then not your brand, but since we're talking about parts, if someone has cats, OC Raw recently came out with parts. So like livers, necks, hearts, and they're frozen and they're raw, which finding organ meats raw in a store that's not a butcher is really hard to find. Like we don't have a butcher around here. But they make the raw, they don't make them, but they have raw chicken necks, and my cats love those. And they go absolutely crazy over the livers. Like they think those are the best things. And I'm not gonna lie, like if people think your stuff is gross, let's talk about like a frozen raw liver. They're gross.
You notice I don't do liver. Not only is it's pretty
It smells
pretty saturated, it makes everything smell
when you cook it and like
blood.
hydrate. Yeah. Yeah, but like those are gross. So, but I still give them to my dogs and cats because they're good for them, and I acknowledge that, and I can get over it.
Yeah, especially those secreting.
And there is a butcher on 2nd Street. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to tell people. If you don't have access to the OC Raw, if you're somewhere maybe in a city that you can't find a raw feeding co-op, call around to like smaller butchers. A lot of them will order in chicken, and even if they don't carry it in store, you can usually have them order it.
Yeah.
And especially if you are buying like a case or two at a time, like just buy it, bag it, and freeze it. It's going to be a lot more cost effective. There are ways to raw feed cheap, and especially even just doing raw meaty bones if you don't have access to our stuff too.
And
a great way to clean their teeth.
Also to, again, make that bowl better, if you're feeding kibble, like add some stuff to it, like, add some of your stuff to it, add some raw parts to it, add goat milk, like all of these things make your pet's life and nutrition a lot better. I think Rodney Habib posted something pretty recently that is if you replace 20% of your pet's bowl with fresh foods, it like dramatically decreases the inflammation in your dog. And chronic disease is inflammation. So, something to keep in mind there.
Yeah, and that was one of the original research that studies that him and Karen brought into light was that one saying they replaced, I think it was 10 to 20% of the bowl in these animals, and they like tested their inflammation levels before and after, and even just adding 10 to 20% of fresh food of any kind. I think they were just adding fresh steamed veggies.
Yeah. Use the veggies that you like chop off the ends of it that you're not gonna like use.
Broccoli stems.
Yeah.
The ugly broccoli, some like kind of
it's super easy to grow. Like they'll grow like on your counter. Like you don't even have to do much with it. So so many things.
Well, that's why I try to on Instagram share a lot of like budget friendly hacks and stuff like that. Because for me, what got me started and gets a lot of people tripped up in raw feeding is now that it's commercially available, it's expensive. There's ways to budget hack it. Like we're all trying to budget hack everything that we can right now. You can make
your own egg on it, like a raw egg. That's a great one. Someone came in the store the other day and they were asking me, like, what do I feed my dogs? I'm like, well, I honestly feed everything in the freezers. There's nothing in the freezers that I don't feed. Whatever we have the most excess of, that's usually what I take home. But fun thing, I ran out of food last week at my house. Why? I don't know. I'm at the store 7 days a week. And I didn't bring home food. So my dogs had raw eggs for breakfast that morning. And you know what? Eggs are complete and balanced. So there you go.
Yeah. And I just post about eggs too. Eggs are amazing. And if you, again, eggs
you can stretch it though.
Yeah. Eggs from the store, chicken eggs from the store, not always the best option. Sometimes they're like soy fed. So they're actually kind of inflammatory. Better than nothing. Just don't feed the shell. If you can, get on Facebook groups. There's so many chicken farmers right now. They're like the new house pet. Almost everybody has extra eggs because, they're just really easy animals. So you can find chicken eggs, duck eggs, usually in Facebook groups for pretty cheap. And that person will be happy to have you coming every now and then.
And if you're local to Williamsburg, our farmers market every weekend, there's always fresh eggs there. So,
yeah. And I do quail eggs just because they're hard to find. But I'm like, yeah, you can get chicken eggs, duck eggs usually.
And we have frozen quail eggs in the store here. So
nice.
Cool. All right, let's draw this book. Who's going to win? So bear with me, you guys. I'm going to pull this up.
Yeah, I was really excited. Right. I was kind of late. I didn't get on the pre-order, but I'm excited.
I'll have a copy here for you. All right, you guys, we're going to raffle off this book right here. Dun, dun, dun. Super fun. This is the most exciting hack I've learned with my streaming. Kim Condrey! Woo! You have one of the Forever Dog Life. Your wife can pick it up for you next weekend when she comes here. And so there is that. And then, oh no.
It's such a fun book. I don't know if you really dug into it yet. I did the watermelon popsicles. I like cut up a watermelon. Yes. Mediocre. So I did those, like, I was like, meh. And
that
my baby popping.
Yeah, that recipe, if no one has it yet, that wolf popsicle mold and with the toy. Have you seen that yet? It's great. I'll show it to you when you come here. It's like our best-selling toy. But that recipe and those molds for that is game changer. Here's a fun fact for everyone who is watching. If you're on here, I will be making an announcement about it in a couple of days. But I'm a July 4th baby, and it is my birthday in a couple of days. I won't be at the store, but the store will be open. And for my birthday, I want everyone to get a copy of this book because I think everyone needs it. It will change your dog's life. So if you come in the store on Thursday, and we have shortened hours, we're closing at 4 on Thursday, but if you come to the store on Thursday and you spend $38, because I'm going to be 38, you guys, you're going to get a free book if you spend $38 on Thursday at Nautical Dog. The book is $35, so what a win there. So please come by the store. And then Lauren, thank you so much for coming on. We could talk about this for like hours and hours. There's so many things you could dive down. But Lauren is going to be at the More You Know Pet Wellness Summit. She's going to have a table there. If you are already watching, what'd you say?
I'll be the pink one.
She'll be the pink one. Yes, all the pink. We have her stuff in the store. If you want to wait till the summit, there'll be even some more stuff there. And thank you for being a sponsor. I can't wait to meet you in person.
So excited.
And you're flying in, and it's going to be quite the party. And thank you to everyone who watched. I know this has been kind of a longer one, so thanks for hanging in there. And thanks, everyone. We will. Oh, Kim wants to know if you're going to have T-shirts for sale.
See if I can maybe get them made real quick. Yeah, because these are my new ones that I have made. Let me see if I can stand up. I just had like one printed off. I have stickers of these that I think I'll have. I also have my Feed More Body Parts stickers. I have Meat Eater. And yeah, I'll talk to Amanda to see if we can do something with those separately. I might just bring them for funsies. But yeah. I love stickers. I like this one especially. So we're going to see. I had this like super funky design made that I haven't yet.
It's awesome. Well, thanks everyone, and I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. I had a couple weeks, less than 2 weeks here. So, thank you so much, Lauren. We appreciate all of your knowledge. Bye, everyone. Have a great afternoon.